Before we get started, if you or someone you love is over the age of 60, this video could genuinely save a life. Please stay with us all the way to the end, because the final mistake we reveal is the one most people never suspect. Did you know that stroke is the 5th leading cause of death in the United States, and that the majority of strokes are actually preventable? The sobering truth is this: many of the daily habits that millions of seniors follow without a second thought could be quietly pushing them toward a stroke. We're not talking about dramatic lifestyle failures. We're talking about small, ordinary things, the kind of things you did this morning or yesterday afternoon, without even realizing they carry a risk. In today's video, we're going to walk through 8 of the most common mistakes that increase stroke risk in seniors, and more importantly, we'll show you exactly what to do instead. Simple swaps. Practical changes. No complicated medical jargon. We'll cover skipping or mismanaging medications, not drinking enough water, ignoring blood pressure readings, sitting for long stretches, eating too much processed food, overlooking diabetes warning signs, poor sleep habits, and one final risk factor that tends to fly completely under the radar. First, let's make sure we're all on the same page about what a stroke actually is, because understanding it makes everything else in this video click into place. A stroke happens when blood flow to part of the brain is suddenly cut off, either because a blood vessel becomes blocked by a clot, or because a vessel bursts. When that happens, brain cells begin to die. Not slowly. Within minutes. That's what makes stroke so serious, and why prevention is so much more powerful than treatment. As we age, our risk naturally increases. Blood vessels become stiffer and more prone to damage. Rates of high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease, all major stroke contributors, climb with each decade. But here's what the research consistently tells us: lifestyle choices still make an enormous difference, even in our 70s, 80s, and beyond. Now, before we continue, please save this next part. These are the warning signs of stroke, and they can save your life or the life of someone near you. Doctors use the acronym FAST. F stands for face drooping. If one side of someone's face is drooping or numb, that's a red flag. A stands for arm weakness. Can they raise both arms? If one drifts down, act immediately. S stands for speech difficulty, slurred words, confusion, inability to speak clearly. And T, the most important letter, stands for time. Call emergency services immediately. Every second counts. All right. Let's get into the mistakes, and we're starting with the biggest one. High blood pressure, medically known as hypertension, is called the silent killer for a very good reason. It produces no pain. It causes no obvious symptoms. You can have dangerously elevated blood pressure right now and feel completely normal. That's what makes it so terrifying, and so common. High blood pressure is the single leading risk factor for stroke. When the pressure inside your arteries stays elevated over time, it damages the walls of those vessels, makes them more likely to become blocked or to rupture, and forces your heart to work harder than it should. One of the most common mistakes seniors make is assuming that if they feel fine, their blood pressure must be fine. That assumption has put millions of people at serious risk. Another common pattern: a senior gets a high reading at the doctor's office, is put on medication, feels better within a few weeks, and then quietly stops taking the medication because they feel normal again. But normal feeling does not mean normal blood pressure. The medication was doing the work. Stopping it can cause a dangerous spike almost immediately. Here's what to do instead. First, check your numbers regularly. Home blood pressure monitors are inexpensive, easy to use, and available at any pharmacy. Aim to check at the same time each day, ideally in the morning before you've had coffee or taken any medications. Write the numbers down and bring them to your doctor appointments. Second, follow your doctor's guidance on medication without interruption. If the side effects are bothering you, have that conversation with your provider. There are many options. But please, do not quietly stop taking blood pressure medication on your own. And third, reduce your sodium intake. Most of us are eating far more salt than we realize. It's hiding in bread, canned soup, deli meats, and restaurant meals. Cutting back even moderately can meaningfully lower blood pressure over time. Let's build on that point and talk more broadly about medication management, because this is one of the most underestimated stroke risks among seniors. Many seniors take medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, heart rhythm, or blood clotting. These medications are not optional extras. They are, in many cases, the primary thing standing between a person and a stroke. But medication errors among older adults are extremely common. Forgetting a dose. Taking a double dose to make up for a missed one. Stopping a medication because the bottle ran out and refilling it slipped through the cracks. Running low and stretching doses to make them last longer. Each of these patterns can cause serious disruptions. Blood pressure medication that isn't taken consistently can lead to spikes that stress the blood vessels. Blood thinners taken incorrectly, too much or too little, change clot risk dramatically. Cholesterol medication skipped regularly allows plaque buildup to continue unchecked. Here's how to manage this effectively. A weekly pill organizer is one of the simplest and most powerful tools available. Fill it on the same day each week. Sunday evening works well for most people, and you have a clear visual record of what's been taken. Set phone alarms or reminders if you haven't already. Most smartphones have a simple clock app that allows recurring daily alarms with custom labels, morning medication, evening medication, right on the lock screen. And if managing multiple medications is feeling overwhelming, ask a family member or caregiver to help with a simple tracking system. There's no pride to be lost in accepting that help. These medications are important enough to take seriously. This next one surprises a lot of people, but the connection between hydration and stroke risk is very real and very underappreciated. As we age, our body's thirst sensation actually diminishes. Younger adults feel thirsty when their hydration drops even slightly. But many older adults reach a state of significant dehydration before the thirst signal fires. Which means that by the time you feel thirsty, you may already be behind. Why does dehydration matter for stroke? When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes more concentrated and thicker. Thicker blood is harder for the heart to pump, and it's more likely to form clots. It also increases the workload on your cardiovascular system overall, raising blood pressure and straining the vessels that supply blood to your brain. The fix here is beautifully simple. Drink water consistently throughout the day, rather than waiting until you feel thirsty. A practical target for most seniors is around 6 to 8 cups of water daily, though your doctor may advise differently depending on your medications or health conditions. Keep a water bottle visible on your kitchen counter or nightstand. Some people find it helpful to drink a glass of water first thing in the morning before anything else. It jumpstarts the body and sets a healthy tone for the day. Watch for signs that you may be dehydrated: dark yellow urine, dry mouth, fatigue, dizziness when standing up, or headaches. These are your body sending a signal. Listen to it. Stay with us, because the next mistake is one that billions of people make every single day, and it's doing real damage to cardiovascular health around the world. And coming up after this, we have the final mistake, the one that tends to shock people the most. You won't want to miss it. Extended sitting, sometimes called sedentary behavior, has been identified by researchers as an independent risk factor for stroke and heart disease. And when we say extended, we mean hours at a time without movement. Which, for many retired seniors, can easily describe a typical afternoon. Here's what prolonged sitting does to the body. Blood flow in the lower leg slows significantly, increasing the risk of clot formation. Blood pressure tends to rise. the muscles that help regulate blood sugar become less active. Over time, this pattern contributes to obesity, diabetes, and elevated cholesterol, all of which feed directly into stroke risk. The good news is that you don't need to become an athlete to reverse this. Small, consistent movement breaks are genuinely effective. Aim to stand up and move around for at least 5 minutes every hour. Set a timer if that helps. Walk to the kitchen. Do a few gentle leg raises. Step outside and check the mail. March in place during commercial breaks. These tiny windows of movement, repeated consistently, add up to meaningful cardiovascular benefit over time. Gardening, light housework, a short walk after dinner, any of these are wonderful options. The goal is simply to interrupt long stretches of stillness. Your blood vessels will thank you. Let's talk about food, and specifically, about the hidden dangers lurking in many of the most convenient options in the modern grocery store. Processed and packaged foods are a significant contributor to stroke risk, primarily through 3 ingredients: excess sodium, added sugars, and unhealthy fats. These aren't just abstract nutrition concerns. They have direct, measurable effects on the blood vessels, the heart, and the brain. Excess sodium raises blood pressure. We've already talked about why that matters. But what many people don't realize is how much sodium is hiding in foods that don't even taste particularly salty: bread, breakfast cereals, canned goods, frozen meals, condiments. A single can of soup can contain more than half your recommended daily sodium intake. Added sugars drive inflammation in the blood vessels and contribute to weight gain, elevated blood sugar, and the development of type 2 diabetes, which itself dramatically increases stroke risk. And trans fats, still present in some packaged snacks, promote the buildup of plaque inside artery walls, narrowing the channels through which blood must flow to reach your brain. You don't need a perfect diet to meaningfully reduce your risk. Start with small, consistent improvements. Add 1 additional serving of fruit or vegetables each day. Swap canned soup for homemade broth. Choose whole grain bread over white. Rinse canned beans and vegetables before eating. It removes a surprising amount of sodium. A heart-healthy diet doesn't have to be flavorless or complicated. The Mediterranean-style approach, rich in vegetables, olive oil, fish, whole grains, and legumes, has some of the strongest evidence for reducing stroke risk of any dietary pattern. It's also, by most accounts, genuinely delicious. Diabetes and prediabetes are among the most powerful and underappreciated contributors to stroke risk, and the sad reality is that millions of people are walking around with elevated blood sugar right now without knowing it. Here's why it matters so much. Persistently high blood sugar damages the walls of blood vessels throughout the body, including those that supply blood to the brain. Over time, this damage makes vessels more likely to narrow, harden, and ultimately become blocked. People with diabetes have roughly double the risk of stroke compared to those without it, and they tend to experience more severe outcomes when a stroke does occur. The most common mistakes here are skipping glucose monitoring, making poor dietary choices without realizing the blood sugar impact, and missing scheduled follow-ups with a doctor or endocrinologist. If you have been diagnosed with diabetes or prediabetes, please treat your treatment plan as non-negotiable. Monitor your blood sugar as directed. Attend your checkup appointments. Work with your care team to understand which foods cause the biggest spikes. The answer is often surprising. And if you haven't been screened recently, ask your doctor for a fasting blood sugar test or an A1C. It's a simple blood draw that gives you critical information about where you stand. We're approaching the end of our list, and this next one is something that far too many seniors dismiss as simply part of getting older. Sleep, and specifically the quality and consistency of your sleep, has a profound effect on cardiovascular health and stroke risk. During deep sleep, your body performs critical repair work on blood vessels. Blood pressure naturally dips. Inflammation is regulated. The heart rests. When sleep is chronically disrupted, whether by insomnia, restless nights, or an undiagnosed sleep disorder, none of that restoration happens fully. Blood pressure stays elevated longer. Inflammatory markers rise. The cardiovascular system remains under ongoing strain. One of the most serious and underdiagnosed sleep issues among seniors is sleep apnea, a condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night. The person often doesn't know it's happening. Their bed partner might notice loud snoring or gasping. And meanwhile, with every episode, oxygen levels in the blood drop and blood pressure spikes. Sleep apnea is an independent risk factor for both stroke and heart attack. If you snore loudly, wake up feeling unrefreshed, experience morning headaches, or feel excessively sleepy during the day despite a full night in bed, please bring these symptoms to your doctor. A sleep study can identify apnea, and treatment is often straightforward and genuinely life-changing. For general sleep quality, aim for a consistent bedtime and wake time, even on weekends. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Avoid screens in the hour before sleep. And limit caffeine after early afternoon. And now, the final mistake. The one we mentioned at the very beginning. Chronic stress and loneliness are not just emotional problems. They are physiological ones, and the research connecting them to stroke risk is now substantial and impossible to ignore. When the body is under chronic stress, it releases elevated levels of cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are useful in short bursts, they help us respond to immediate danger. But when they stay elevated day after day, they drive up blood pressure, promote inflammation in blood vessels, disrupt sleep, and encourage the kind of unhealthy behaviors, poor eating, inactivity, social withdrawal, that compound stroke risk further. And loneliness, a reality for an enormous number of seniors, particularly those who live alone or who have lost a spouse, produces remarkably similar physiological effects. Studies have found that chronic loneliness is associated with higher blood pressure, weakened immune function, and increased risk of both stroke and dementia. It is, in the most literal sense, bad for the heart. The prescription here is connection and calm. Prioritize social contact, even when it takes effort. Join a community group, a church, a walking club, a senior center program. Call a friend. Video chat with a grandchild. Volunteer somewhere that matters to you. These are not frivolous activities. They are acts of genuine self-care with measurable health benefits. For stress specifically, explore what works for you. Gentle yoga or tai chi, prayer or meditation. Time in nature. Creative hobbies. A consistent daily routine. These tools quiet the nervous system, lower cortisol, and give the cardiovascular system the rest it deserves. Before we close, let's lock in the most important takeaways, 5 daily habits that actively protect against stroke. These are simple, evidence-backed, and every single one is within reach starting today. Number 1, check your blood pressure regularly. Know your numbers. Keep a log. This is the single most powerful thing most seniors can do for their stroke risk. Number 2, take your medications exactly as prescribed. Use a pill organizer. Set phone reminders. And do not stop taking medication without talking to your doctor first. Number 3, stay hydrated. Drink water consistently throughout the day. Don't wait until you're thirsty, especially in summer heat. Number 4, move every single day. You don't need a gym membership. You need 5 minutes of movement every hour and a short daily walk. That is genuinely enough to make a real difference. Number 5, eat a heart-healthy diet. More vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean protein. Less sodium, sugar, and packaged food. One small swap at a time adds up to something significant. Here's the most important thing we want you to take away from today's video. A stroke is not inevitable. For the vast majority of people, it is not a matter of fate, it is a matter of the daily choices that quietly accumulate over months and years. The habits we've talked about today don't require you to overhaul your entire life. They require small, consistent shifts. Checking a number. Filling a pill organizer. Refilling a water bottle. Standing up and walking to the window. These things matter. Deeply. And the evidence says so. If you've been watching this and quietly recognizing yourself in one or more of these mistakes, please don't feel discouraged. Recognition is the first step. And the fact that you're here watching this tells us something important about who you are, someone who takes their health seriously. That matters. Talk to your doctor about any of the risk factors we covered today. Bring a family member along to that appointment if you can. And share this video with someone you care about, a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, because the information in it could genuinely make a difference in someone's life. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 8 mistakes surprised you the most? Were any of them things you've already started working on? Let us know. Your story might be exactly what someone else in this community needs to hear. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more people find this information who truly need it. And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit that button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our weekly videos on health, wellness, and living well at every age. Take care of yourselves. And we'll see you in the next one.